everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Melissa, and today we are going to be making the world's easiest infinity scarf, which you can use any yarn whatsoever that you want for it. I am going to be using this yarn here. I can't give you much detail for it. I was going to make something completely different with it. Didn't work out to what I wanted, but it's still beautiful, so I thought I would make several other things, which I have, and I've got this left over, which is an ideal amount. It's one ball of about 270 grams. I know it's from Hobbii. You Australians out there won't be able to get it anymore, but I couldn't tell you which yarn it is. But you can use any leftover yarn, you can use any style, you can do whatever you like with this. It is so simple and it's great for those projects that you just don't know what to do with that odd ball of wool. So you will need a ball of yarn. How much you will need depends on how thick or thin you're going to make your infinity scarf. This one we're going to do as a thin one, 10 centimeters wide and about 120 centimeters the chain. All right. So you need your ball of yarn, you will need your tape measure to measure the length and the width, you will need scissors. There is only one tiny bit of sewing to do, and that is sewing in your tail, and that is your yarn needle, and you will need the hook for the size of the yarn that you are using. Now, we will be working in the round, so generally when I work in the round, I go half a size up if I'm able to. So I am going to be using my 5.5 millimeter hook. This yarn says it takes a 4 to 5 millimeter hook. I use a 5 for it, so I'm going to go up to a 5.5 for this. And my chain, I always do a hook size higher just to make that bottom a lot more even. So I'm using my 6.5 for the chain. Okay, let's get this project started. All right, when you have selected the yarn you're going to use and you know what hook size you're going to have, find the end of your yarn, get the corresponding hook that you need, go a size up if you can, and you don't need to leave a very long tail. Do a slip knot. Put that onto your hook, and it is simply half double crochets. Saying that, you can use any stitch you like, but I'm going to keep it super simple, so I'm just doing half double crochet. But I need to chain it first, so I'm going to do a chain of 120 stitches. Now I already know, because I've done many of these infinity scarves, and I've got a little chart that I go by. I will leave my notes down below. I do not know how to read or write patterns, but I make notes. So if you can follow my notes, please look in the description below and you'll see what hook size I go to, what sizes and how many stitches and all the rest of it. Saying that, every yarn is different. So I'm going to start off with 120 and then I'll see how I go. So just chain your stitches like so, and if you make it for 120 centimeters, and I already know that should be for me 120 stitches, and I will meet you back here when I've got my length of 120 centimeters. There is my chain. So to make sure that this is long enough, for me, what I do is I chuck it over my neck, around my neck, and I hang it down evenly so that both ends get to about the length of my belly button. And then what you need to do is, when that's about the right length, I also wrap it around my neck once so that it has two forms around my neck like you would with a long infinity scarf. And if that's comfortable, then I know it's the right length. So now that I've got my, which is about 120 centimeters. So now that I've got that, I need to change my hook size to go with the hook that I'm going to be using for the body, which is my 5.5 millimeter hook. So just make sure you're using the hook that relates to the yarn that you're using. All right, so now that I've done that, I need to chain 1, and then I'm working in the back of the chain. So you can see that the front has all these V's and the back have these lumps. I'm going to be working into those lumps. So I miss that chain that I just did, and I go into the next stitch and I go into that lump and I grab the yarn and I pull it through, and I grab the yarn and I pull through all the loops on the hook. So those 3 loops that are on the hook. Then yarn over, going into the next lump there, go into there, grab a yarn, pull it through, and then grab a yarn and pull through all the loops on the hook, and keep doing this all the way along. I will meet you at the end of the chain when you have finished that. Okay, so we have finished that row, and now what we need to do is join this together because we are going to be working in the round, so it needs to be joined. So the trick is to lay it out flat and even and level. So what I generally do is run my finger along, make sure it's all the same way, and then once I've got the end, I hold it and turn it over, and then I make sure that my tail is down below, this is on the inside, and I put my hook into, now you need to go to your first stitch and go to the bottom of your first stitch. So there's your first stitch, go into the bottom of it like so, and then do a slip stitch. So grab your yarn. It does seem really tricky, but once you get it, you get it. Pull your yarn through and then through the loop on the hook, and that's your slip stitch. I've got my yarn all tangled up here. Then what I do is I fold it in half at that slip stitch and just run my finger through to make sure, this tail is really annoying today, make sure that it is all even. And not twisted. There we go. So it's all the one way and I don't have any twists, and that is, and I just triple check because nothing is more annoying than when you do your first row and you get to the end and it's all twisted up and you have to undo and do it again. So I've got that right. Awesome. So get this annoying tail out of the way. Maybe it's because I made my tail too long. And then what you're doing is yarn half double crochets all the way around continuously now, and then go into that first stitch where you did your slip stitch, go into that first stitch there, and then do your half double crochet. Okay, go into your next stitch. Now when you're going into your stitches, make sure you go into the body of your stitch. Don't go into the tippy top here. See how you would normally go into there? Don't do that. Go into here. So go straight into the body of that stitch. And then yarn over, going into the body there. And that's what you're going to be doing for every single stitch, is going into the big body of that stitch all the way around. Now keep doing. Before you continue, just double check that this is still the right size that you want, because once you've done your first row, sizes can change. So put it back around your neck and then twist it and put it around again so you have that loop around your neck, and make sure that that is fine and easy to take on and off. Now that you have double checked that the scarf is going to go around your neck twice and everything is good, continue doing your half double crochets all the way around for row number 2. And when you get back to the beginning here, at this funny looking joint here, I will show you what we do and how we move on, and I will meet you there when you get there. Okay, we're near the end of row 2 and I've come to the funky looking join bit here. Now what you need to do is to double check that you haven't twisted it. So if you have, just twist it back around again, and you can see mine is all even. So what I need to do now is my next stitch is actually going to go right here where the join is. So half double crochet, I'm going to go underneath that stitch there, grab my yarn, pull it under, and then do my half double crochet. My next stitch is going to go straight in here. So you're not stepping up, you're not doing anything like that, you're just going straight into the next stitch here. Grab your yarn, pull it through, grab your yarn, pull through all 3 loops on the hook, and then keep doing your stitches. Now remember, you're not going into this stitch up the top here, you're going to the body of the work. Sorry, the body of the stitch down there. So straight in there, and then straight in there, straight in that hole there. And the reason why we're doing that is because then it creates this nice flat pattern, and you'll see as you work more and more rows how that's going to look. Alright, so now that you've done that, you just keep working around and around and around and around, and when you have done 10 centimeters worth, now that's what I do 10 centimeters. I'm doing a small, as in skinny, infinity scarf. Now if you want more rows, do more rows. You want less rows, do less rows. But when you have done the amount of rows that you want to do, finish here, because that is where you started at your tail here, and that's where you want to end right here. So when you've done the amount of rows you want to do, the width that you want to do, I'm doing 10 centimeters, so I'm doing about 15 rows. I will meet you back here when you have done your 15 rows or your 10 centimeters or whatever it is that you're planning on doing. I have now finished my 15 rows, and as you can see, it is a narrow band, but once it wraps around twice, it is actually it works out really, really well, and very, very popular, these scarves. So when you finish, what you need to do is finish above where you started. So there's my tail where I started. So what I do is I go up, follow the line up, and there I am finished. So I've done my there's my last stitch, so I want to go into the next one and just slip stitch. So what I do is I go into the top of that stitch there and I bring my yarn through, then I just snip off the end, pull that through, so I'm just doing a slip stitch and pull, and there we go. So the only thing we need to do now is just to sew these 2 ends in. So grab your yarn needle, turn this inside out. Doesn't matter which one you start with, but what you're trying to do is just make this as neat as possible. So I go into the stitch opposite there. So this is for the bottom, finishing that off, and I go into the stitch over here, and I'm trying to make this look like another stitch. So I go back over this way, and then I'm just sewing. Now, I'm not a good sewer. I actually really suck at sewing, but I try my best to to make it look as neat as possible and not obvious that that's where the sewing was. I'm just going backwards and forwards. I am not saying this is correct, so if you are a sewer, forgive me for making this look a little... But what I'm trying to do is just make that look neat. Okay. And then I just snip that one off. So that's where I started. And now I want to go to where I ended. And what I do here is I just bring, so you can see it, the stitch would have continued that way, so I bring it in that way and pull it down, smoosh it around so it looks even, pull it tight and just sew it off. Whatever way. As I said, I am not good at sewing. That looks neat. And then we just turn it the right way. And there we are. So here is the finished product. Sorry about the glare, the light's on, it's getting quite late. But yeah, so you can wear it as singularly, but most people will now put it over. And there we go. You can see the beautiful colours. And a nice size. You can pull it tight and have one hanging longer, or make it even. I'm not really wearing the right colours, but it gives you an idea of how it looks. Alright everybody, thank you so much for watching my tutorial. I hope yours turns out beautifully. As I said, you can use any yarn you like for it. Thank you again. If you did enjoy this and you want to contribute to the channel, you can press the super thanks button down below or buy me a coffee. But just you watching has helped me with YouTube configuration. So thank you. Alright everyone, take care and I'll see you at the next tutorial. Bye everyone!